G'day Earthlings, Dr. Rank here, and welcome to Gaming Legends, the show where slow and steady wins the race. Every 2D Sonic game is played by holding right to win, and there's always at least one person who doesn't want to win. But nobody has tried not to win the latest game yet, so why not do it myself? Can you beat Sonic Superstars without pressing left or right? The rules are exactly what's shown on the tin. Providing horizontal input on either the D-pad or left analog stick during gameplay is completely banned. Menu screens are fair game, and up and down inputs are fully allowed. If we can get from a new save file to the end credits under these conditions, we win. Before starting the run, I recommend going into your console's button mapping settings and remapping left and right on the D-pad to buttons that are unused, such as the triggers or the L3 and R3. This will make it much more difficult to break the rules by accident. When choosing your character, there is, of course, only one correct choice. All 4 characters can spin dash to move forward on the ground, but Knuckles is the only one who doesn't need to. Pressing the jump button in mid-air will allow Knuckles to glide forward. If you glide into a wall, Knuckles will grab on, allowing him to climb up or down, or turn around by jumping off. As long as there are flat walls on both sides, Knuckles can move basically anywhere. Unfortunately, the unsung hero programmer at Sonic Team, who may or may not be colorblind, did not have his contract renewed. If Knuckles ends a glide at the edge of the screen, regardless of which edge, he will not turn around. And unlike a certain other game with an inverted rule set, Knuckles can only perform a glide if he manually jumps. If he ever steps on a spring, he'll probably be stuck there unless you pause and restart. Fortunately, we can ease the pain from this using multiplayer. If one player dies or goes off screen, they'll be put in reserve until they press the A button. And if all players drop out while player 1 is in reserve, everyone will respawn at the last checkpoint. Player 1 isn't actually able to drop out themselves though, so I recommend having Knuckles in the player 2 spot instead. Bridge Island Act 1 has a special stage entrance right on the main path that's very easy to enter. Special stages take place in 3D, and as I mentioned at the start, pressing up is fully allowed. Completing a special stage gives you a Chaos Emerald, which unlocks a unique ability that can be used once per checkpoint. You can only get 1 emerald per zone though, and they're obtained in a linear order. The only power we'll have for the rest of Bridge Island is Avatar. As for the bonus stages above checkpoints, I don't recommend entering them as they're both useless and impossible. I got stuck in the first one for like 10 minutes before giving up. Our first major roadblock came from the Act 1 boss. Knuckles' glide isn't fast enough to outrun his bite attack, which kills us in one hit. And we can't use reserve characters because they're not legally allowed to join during boss fights. Even the roughest of the rest of them isn't rough enough. I guess we have no choice now, but to read the title again. Sonic's mid-air ability is the drop dash, providing the same speed boost as a spin dash in a much more fluid manner. This helps us move horizontally faster than Knuckles' glide, but it doesn't help us with the stairs here. While the drop dash is activated in the air, its effect is only active on the ground. But if we jump out of a drop dash and land right on the edge of the middle step, we have just barely enough time to jump off with enough momentum to clear the top step. This lets us finish Bridge Island Act 1 just by the skin of our teeth. Act 2 is littered with these dash corners that propel you in a specific direction. If the exit is vertical, you won't be facing in that direction, which becomes mildly inconvenient for this section as Knuckles comes out of the corner facing left while needing to go to the right. Fortunately, if you roll as you land, you'll preserve your momentum long enough to reach the dash pad. The multi-loop at the end is actually triggered automatically when you approach it, so it's a total pushover. Then we have our first battle against Eggman. For the first phase, you'll want to glide into him from the left and bounce back. If you need to move backwards, you can do so by taking damage from something on your right side. You can't backtrack out of the boss arena, so ending the battle while facing left is a softlock sentence. Once you get past phase 1, use the avatar power to summon an army of Knuckleses to do the rest. Land one final glide on the capsule and Bridge Island is history. Speed Jungle is littered with vines. The horizontal ones are good and can be used to turn around under the right circumstances. The vertical ones, however, are basically just airborne springs. It also has these underground tunnels with branching paths, and the only way to select a path is with directional input. If you ever find yourself in a vertical tunnel needing to take a corner, you're soft locked. Taking the high road is much safer here, and it also leads to our second special stage entrance. This gives us the red emerald, unlocking the bullet power. This power gives you a burst of momentum in the specified direction, and if the direction is unspecified, it defaults to diagonally up and forwards. And unlike the glide, emerald powers can still be used on springs, making soft locks much rarer. The only downside to bullet is that you can only use it once per checkpoint. The Speed Jungle Act 1 boss can be damaged by using Tails' flight, but you can also defeat him with a single use of Avatar if you move fast enough between screens. At this point, we unlock Speed Jungle Act Sonic, which is just straight up impossible. This level forces player 1 to use Sonic, and other players aren't allowed to join. I made a decent effort, but got stuck in this tunnel here. The good news is, Act Sonic is completely optional. The bad news is, Act 2 is not. Almost immediately when the level starts, we're forced underground into a vertical tunnel. This tunnel loops infinitely, only letting us proceed by pressing right. Even bullets can't help us here, as emerald powers can't be used underground. I searched every nook and cranny for a way to bypass this section, but alas, the level design pigeonholes us toward this tunnel. This game does have an explorable hub area, but as far as I can tell, it's physically impossible to skip ahead to a future zone without first clearing what came before. Until a solution is found, the Sonic Superstars Press Right to Lose run has officially failed.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
And as much as I would like to continue with a minimalist run, I can't come up with any satisfying definition of one right press that can't be exploited to defeat the entire purpose. So I'm putting the run on hiatus until such a time that a method of bypassing this section can be found. If you happen to be the one to find it, feel free to let me know. In the meantime, you can watch the livestream archive via the link in the description, or check out a similar run I did in Sonic Adventure. That's all for now, and I will see you down under.